student workers can do a quick introduction once again. So I'll start off. My name's Leanne. I'm a sophomore and I am studying business. So thank you, all of you guys, for joining us today. We currently have 27 participants. That's a few more than a few days ago. So we're really glad you guys can come, and stay tuned for what we have next. I guess, who's next? Nikki, do you want to go next?
Hi everyone, my name is Nikki. I study public relations with USC Annenberg. I'm a senior, graduating this May, hopefully. And yeah, I'm excited to be here and chat and have a good time. So,
if I may interrupt, Nikki.
Yeah.
Nikki.
Hear me?
Yes, I can hear
Okay.
you. You know, I believe that you have some really good information on how to find trustworthy sources.
Yeah,
And I would love it. I think other people would too as well, especially with all that's going on and we're stuck at home, to do a video session on what you have learned and what are reliable sources that we can go to for news so that there's no fake news kind of stuff. What are some of the resources that we can go to? I think that that would be a really good session if you wouldn't mind spearheading that.
Oh, for sure, I can plan that. I mean, I've already had to do it with my family. My mom's been sending me random links to like, oh, ibuprofen doesn't work, or like just random stuff she finds online. I'm like, no, this isn't real, like stop it. So I can definitely do a session like that.
Thank you, Nikki.
Hi guys, I finally just got audio.
Great, nice to have you join us, Bill.
Sorry about that.
Next.
Hello?
Anna, do you want to go next?
Hi guys, my name is Hannah, or like Hannah, and I'm studying cinema and media studies at SCA. I'm a freshman and I can't wait to continue with our Zoom meetings. Sophia?
Okay, we can't hear you, Sophia. We have to unmute.
Sorry, I was on mute.
You want to introduce yourself quick?
Yeah, I'm Sophia. I'm a senior and I'm studying computer science, and I'm excited to be here. Thanks.
Great. Okay, Leanne.
Okay, so I guess we'll just start off with a few basic Zoom tools. So something that we've been hearing right now is background noises from a few of the participants, and why that happens is because you're not muted. And so whatever you do, if the phone rings, if you cough, we can all hear that. So I guess one thing we can all do is if you were to move your mouse to the bottom of your screen, to bottom left of your screen, you should see a mute button. And if everyone can make sure that there's a red line going through that, that'd be great. That means that you're muted.
And it looks like David has a suggestion.
Okay, David, do you want to?
Yeah, sure. Just quickly, I've been in about 25 Zoom sessions the last week or so, some of that, and many of them been with seniors, like a book club and so on. And I think there's some special, it would be nice maybe if there's some special instruction for seniors who seem to have particular problems with the mute function, the basic functions. So, because seniors, I think, are particularly new to this stuff, and they seem to have a lot of difficulty. Everybody wants to talk at the same time and so on. But maybe you're going to cover that here.
Okay, thank you. I just also wanted to alert you, from what I can tell here, I see that Bob Crone is back on the line again, and he's had a lot of experience with Zoom and teaching online, as I assume Jim Moore is also on the line too. So please feel free to interject as we go along. Go ahead, Leanne.
Okay, so thank you everyone for muting. So since everyone's muted, it's a lot easier to reduce the background noise. And if whenever you do want to speak, you can just go ahead and unmute that as well. And since I'm here, next to that, you can see the video stop video button. That would just stop the camera from recording you. So yeah. And then I'll just go over the toolbar on the bottom once more. So this is for the computer users. So for iPad users or phone users or whoever's dialing in, it would be a bit different. But if you're on your computer, if you were to move your mouse to the bottom, you should see a toolbar. The middle button is called share screen, and what that does is mainly for the people who are presenting. So if I had a PowerPoint presentation or if I wanted to show you something on my computer, I could do that share screen button. I can do a quick demonstration right now of the share screen button. So for example, these are my notes. These are the notes for my statistics class. And so this is you're basically seeing everything that's on my computer screen. And so, like I said, this is very convenient for professors who want to share their slides with students. And yeah, so I can go ahead and stop that. And then next to that, you can see the chat button. And so basically, you can send a message to everyone in the meeting or someone specific in the meeting. So right now, I typed in hi. And so everyone should see a little orange. The chat button should be orange, light up orange. And if you click that, you can see the message. You can also try sending messages privately to people or to everyone in the group. And if you have any questions, you can unmute yourself to ask, or you can also ask it in the chat. But for the chat, sometimes we don't catch the message. So our response to you might be a bit delayed. And there's also a reactions bar. So if you click that, there's a hand clap and a thumbs up. And if you were to click that, you can see that icon next to your screen. And that can just be for you to play around with. If you were to ask a question, you can put a thumbs up and that to express your opinion on. And then one more thing, if you were to click on the participants, manage participants, you click on that, you can see everyone who's in the call. And on the bottom, you can see yes, no, go slower, go faster, more, and clear all. So if you were to click that, I would be able to see what you clicked. And so if I were to ask a question, you can click yes, you can click no, or if you want me to go slower or go back, you can click go slower and go back. And that just lets the host know your thoughts. Any questions so far? Questions? No questions?
Okay, so I'm just going to interject here. Yet on Wednesday, I had trouble finding the thumbs up and thumbs down. And I think it was because I didn't realize that it was in the chat participants column on the right-hand side. And so even though you were talking about it, I couldn't find it. So, and then running the cursor over the dots that say more, I have no idea what this means. I need a break. That was a cup of coffee. Okay, and that you're leaving. So when you click the clock and it says away, what does that mean? You're leaving? Or you're staying for a minute and you're taking a break? I'm not sure. What do you think, Leanne? In your course, you said you had a course today, right?
Oh no, it was just a webinar. It wasn't on Zoom.
Okay.
But I think what the coffee means is just an indicator that you're gonna be away, but
okay.
Nothing physical.
Okay. If you want to have fun, Leanne can demonstrate, I think, how to change your background.
I can't demonstrate that because my computer doesn't support that function, but if any of the student workers have that function, welcome to demonstrate. Hannah, do you have that? Or Nikki, Sophia?
Mine doesn't support it either, but I know if you go to like for me, as like I have a Mac, when I go on zoom.us at the top left corner, it says preferences. And then, oh, I think Sophia did it. Maybe.
Hi.
Sophia.
Oh, there we go.
There she is. She's in San Francisco at the bridge, the Golden Gate Bridge. Except I don't see Sophia. I just see the bridge. Sophia, can we see
Right in
your
the
face?
corner.
We can't see your face.
Hi.
There you go.
Sorry. Hi.
There she is. We had a very important meeting with the executive vice provost this morning, and every one of us we were either in our office or we are in our home office or wherever we were at home, except for one person. And she didn't just have a backdrop. She had a video of swaying palm trees and the ocean breaking on the sand. So if you ever want to do something fun like that, I suppose we could figure that out too. Okay, Leanne.
Bob Crone with a comment.
Hi, Bob.
Okay, am I coming through audio?
Yes, you are.
I know video was a little clear. I'm a 1948 undergraduate at the USC, came back on the faculty and am an emeritus now. I just had one suggestion with Leanne and Janet, who are doing a great job here. I'm looking at the gallery view now at the all the emeriti that are, and staff that are right now participating. And every one of us who are in this status have had a whole career of working, publishing, teaching in our discipline. So I'm suggesting that we begin to share files with the students that are involved. In other words, when we think about it, the main reason that students and faculty interact is for research. And so I've been supervising research up to the doctoral level now for about 40 years. And I'll be happy to begin to share some simple files. And we can do it by just attaching files to an email to the USC Emeriti website. And then they can be made, Leanne can handle circulating them to the people who want to get them. That's my suggestion, and one of the ways that we can, us old folks can be here to help the students a little bit.
Yeah, that's a great idea. You can attach it by email, and then there's also a way that we would be able to help you upload it maybe to Google Docs or something like that where everybody could share it. I did want to, since Bob chimed in, I would love to have David Belson chime in for just a minute about what he's been doing and let everybody know.
Yeah, so I've probably done about 25 Zoom sessions so far. One thing that I'm interested in is a couple book clubs I'm in are strictly seniors, and seniors seem to have difficulty, but they learn, they just don't start out with the same know-how. Oh, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
And so particularly the mute function, the picture function, and the share screen function take a little getting used to. I've also been teaching, as I think you know, starting last Wednesday, all classes are on Zoom, and that goes quite well. The students do get onto that pretty quickly, understand it very quickly. The big problem is it depends on the class. If there's any field work or labs, my class has to do some projects out, and I work with hospitals. Students have to go to hospitals. We can't do that anymore, so we're trying to figure out ways for them to complete their semester project without visiting the hospitals anymore. They can communicate, but they can't actually be there. So that's a bit of a challenge, but starting next week, classes are back in session, and pretty much everybody's class will be happening. They'll just be happening over Zoom. Also, one other thing, we've also participated in some religious services. again, there's a learning curve. One place they did an orientation session and then an evening a regular session, and Zoom works quite well with that. Of course, there's other services that are equivalent. GoToMeeting, NetMeeting, a number of different computer systems work similar. VSEE I had to use the other day. Some systems are not HIPAA compliant, so in some situations, healthcare situations, for example, you may need to either use a different video service, but I'm told now that Zoom also can provide HIPAA assurances. So
Yeah.
The whole world is going, including everybody at USC, is really going through a learning experience.
Right. Leanne, did you have more that you wanted to share?
I guess one thing that was brought up was the speaker view and gallery view. I went over that briefly last time, but I can go over that again. So again, this is for computer. If you were to move your mouse to the upper right corner, you can see something called speaker view or gallery view. So gallery view is when you see everyone with all the screens in small squares. But if you were to click speaker view, or if you're to vice versa, speaker view would just enlarge whoever is speaking. And you can see everyone else on a little side panel. And there's also an exit full screen button. So if you're in speaker view right now, you may have a little box of some other participants. You can toggle that. So if you tick on the top, you can see a line, a box, and two boxes on top of each other. If you were to click those, you can choose how many people you want to see in that little sidebar. And it's just based on your preference on what do you want to look at, speaker view or gallery view, which one work best for you.
So Leanne, when you're in the gallery view, for example, your whole screen pretty much goes black and you see all the people. What happens to your chat session? You have to click the chat button in order to see it, correct?
Right. So yeah, you would have to click the chat button in order to open it up and to see the chat.
Okay.
I heard there's a question from Mr. Belson about iPad. I don't have too much experience with the iPad. Do any other participants or student workers have experience with managing iPads with Zoom?
I was on an iPad a couple of nights ago with another group, and some of the toolbar, for example, I think it was on the top rather than on the bottom of the screen. It was a little confusing at first, but we got used to it.
Yeah, I use it on the iPad also. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
I use it on the iPad also, but then I'm on the computer now because the iPad is a little difficult to find some of the commands, but it's working just fine on the computer. So when I want to participate, I just unmute myself. Is that it? Or
Yes.
right. I picture I just don't do anything. Right. I just talk.
And you can also click chat. So I encourage all of you, you know, when we met on Wednesday, many of you who are on the session now introduced yourselves, but I see some new faces. So people who would like to introduce themselves or give their comments, we encourage you to do the chat piece so that we can call upon you. And again, this is something that Leanne covered on Wednesday, but you can send messages to the whole group or just privately. So that's great. So any other questions about the Zoom piece? I can say that I used the iPad when I was trying to do the Zoom session with 3 families and squirrely little kids. And it was more difficult for me to toggle back and forth between showing the whole screen and allowing everybody to see each other's faces using an iPad because I have already set up what I have ahead of time because I'm in the process of trying to keep all these little ones together. I like to be well prepared. So I have a number of browsers already open, and then I would share the screen. It's a lot easier with a mouse and a screen that's bigger on a laptop than it is with a little iPad. Especially if you're the one who's running the Zoom session. If you just want to connect with somebody, that's not a problem to join in a meeting, but when you're actually running the meeting, I think it's a little more difficult.
So for the Zoom, I think those are just the basic functions that I went over. If anyone has any questions, feel free to ask. But as for, yes, Mr. Belson, you want to unmute yourself?
Yeah, I don't know if people realize it, but you can change your face.
Yeah. David, do you have any others? I bet you do.
Thank you for that tip. Yes, Mr. Gibbons.
Yeah, I just had one thing I wanted to point out to the group. I mentioned this to Janet the other day. But there was an article in the New York Times last week pointing out that USC, among other colleges, will be renting rooms in the for people who have visitors coming in this summer. And there's like $57 a night or something, and they're in Cardinal Gardens. So I can put a thing for the newsletter or where to contact that, but it's a wonderful thing if you've got company coming in for the summer. And it was in the New York Times Sunday, I believe, where they mentioned that USC was among the colleges that's doing that.
Right. And if I may interject, $57 per person per night.
You're right, per person. Still not bad, though.
It's still a good deal. Right, right. Hopefully that will take place. We hope so.
I'll make one more chat, and then I got to go to some other business here. This is Bob Crone. I will send to Leanne a one-page research design outline. It's one that I have developed actually starting at USC and then going on for 2 or 3 decades. And I've used it for doctoral level supervision for both DBAs and PhDs. And so it's been validated for a long time. I'll just send this, and all the students would like it, can stick it in your computers, and when you might review it, there's 11 steps on it for doing your own research design. It has some bias in business and management because that's what I was involved in. I'm now in space, so if anybody wants to talk about space or go to space, you can contact me. But anyway, I'm going to have to sign off here and say hi to you all.
Thank you.
Okay.
I encourage all of you to think of ways that we might be able to participate and help the community with parents who are staying at home with their children. Something could be just as simple as story reading time, but it could also be research. And my first thought is to connect with some of our librarians, our retired librarians, because they have a lot of really good knowledge that they could be helping the school district with helping students. So if you have any ideas on how we can reach out to the community, I will be doing having some conversation with the deans this weekend.
Question. Hi there. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. One other thing on what you just said, Jeanette, the Screen Actors Guild has put together a website with actors reading children's stories. And I can find the link. And it's actually put together by one of my neighbors. And it's a whole bunch of different children's stories that can be, that you can link on to. And it's just a wonderful resource for people who are at home with little kids.
Oh, that's fantastic. If you have any other resources like that, anyone else, that would be wonderful if you would just send them along to either my email address or to the Emeriti email address. And again, any of you that would like to be on quote unquote my thought team, I encourage you to send me a personal email to jcbrown@usc.edu. This is totally experimental. This Zoom session is experimental. What we're doing is experimental. We're just trying to reach out and provide as much value as we can to not only our retiree population, but the entire USC community and others. And the other, we want to stay connected with each other, but there is so many resources, ideas, and expertise with our retirees that if you can think of ways that you can maybe share things, you have ideas of things that you'd like to share, we want to hear from you, because we just keep going off in different tangents on things that we think could be really valuable. In fact, one of the things I'd like to know, and I don't know, Leanne, if you could create a poll for us quickly online, so we've done polling. We want to vote. I would like to know, of the participants that we have online right now, how many would be willing to do this, make one phone call a week to somebody random that they don't know. And you could just go like that, I guess, but it would be nice to know whether or not, you know, about how many of the people online could do that. So Leanne, can you create that for us?
Sorry, I don't think I'm able to create it, probably because I'm co-host.
Okay, so let me try to do it while you take over.
Okay. So in the chat, I just put in Dr. Brown's email as well as the Emeriti Center email. So feel free to reach out through those emails if you have any questions. The Emeriti Center email is mainly managed by students. So if you have anything for us, feel free to send that there. And yeah, any questions? Jeanette, what would you like to go on afterwards, after you make the poll?
Yes. So I don't know whether this is going to work or not. It's an anonymous poll, and I created it and I saved it. I'm saving it right now. And it doesn't look like it is taking. So let me just see what happens. Nope, it's not working. It's still doing Zoom sessions, so I'm not going to worry about it right now. I would like to hear from some of the folks that are in the group. I see that Lynn has a question about how USC would connect with LAUSD students. More specifically, what safeguards would be in place to protect children as well as USC representatives? Lynn, that is an excellent, excellent question. And that's something that we would discuss with the deans, and we wouldn't go off and do anything on our own without the various security things in line. So I don't know enough about the security piece. It may be something just as simple as providing resources online, or allowing people to come into a Zoom session with a free link where people could come on and just view. Or what we could do is record a live Zoom session and then just post the link and make it available to those in the school district. We really don't know what it's going to look like yet, but I can guarantee you, based upon what I've gone through with Karen Koblitz. Karen, raise your hand, Karen. Karen is our faculty member who has gone out into the field to the local high schools, and then through Volunteers of America brought local high school students to USC for SAT prep, for personal statement, getting prepared for college and all that kind of stuff. And you would not believe the security and safety features that are in place to reach out to students who are under 18. Both she and I had to do online training. We had to sign contracts. And there's all kinds of stuff in place to protect those students that are under age 18. So Lynn, do you have any further questions? Would you like to have to say? You can type or talk.
I am currently an employee, and all employees, whether they work in the classroom or out of the classroom, we all had to take that training that you took, and now there's a new training that's about 8 hours long that we had to take. It's a child abuse training, and we're all mandated reporters. So I'm just wondering if we did something like that where we would actually be, like we would see the students, or if we're reading to them, would everyone have to take that training?
I don't think so, but I don't know for sure. So that's a really good question. And hopefully you can, be, part of our team that oversees some of the things that we do. I think it's great that you've had that training. Again, we're doing all this. This is all an experiment, and we're trying to be helpful the best that we know how. And Karen and I went off, did stuff, and we went, oops, sorry, until we were told how we had to do it properly. So we're learning along with everyone else for sure. So right now, you're our expert that's on the call right now.
So probably talking to Ann Calvo perhaps would give us an answer to that, because she's the one that's ahead of all the youth protection on campus.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that would be good. And by the way, I noticed that there are ways, and this is to you, Leanne, that we can create different chat rooms. And as we move forward, we're going to learn more about how to do that, because there are people on the call that have other interests, and there are other ways that they can contribute. So we have retired faculty and staff and current faculty and staff, because I saw some that are not yet retired that have expertise to provide, or ideas, or resources, or links, or whatever. We also have retirees and folks on the line who would like to learn about X, Y, or Z, and our students, as well as others who are not yet retired or who are, could provide that kind of workshop. So we're looking to create some of these different workshops or information sharing sessions. And then additionally, many of you polled on Wednesday would like to have an intergenerational discussion based upon what we did, our Zoomers to Boomers panel, and the perspectives of students and the perspectives of older adults. And so we were going to do some of that today. We only have about 15 minutes left. And so I want to make sure that anyone that would like to, I see some folks here on the line that haven't introduced themselves yet. And I'm wondering if they would like to do so before we move ahead. I see Kathy, I see Sergio, I see, let's see who else is on the line. I see Jerry is joining us for the very first time. Rich was here last time. Cal, Ron. Is there anyone that would like to make a verbal out?
I'll just say hello, I'm Jerry Walker, and president of the Retired Faculty Association. And I'll be asking Jeanette for help setting up a Zoom session next Friday morning for our regular monthly RFA board meeting. And we're going to have a guest who is Mercy Willard, the executive director of the Latino Alumni Association. And we're trying to learn how best to mentor our 8 scholarship students with the Caldwell Inner City Scholars Program, Neighborhood Scholars Program. So we've been very intentionally talking to people who may have special programs to helping our undergraduates advance to graduate work and find positions for leaving school and going to work, being successful. So that's what we're about. And we're going to also need a survey of our members of the USC Retiree Book Club so that we can proceed to hold our next book club meeting on Zoom. That would be very helpful.
And one of the little known things about Zoom, you can have a free Zoom session, you know, free Zoom account. But if you want a more powerful account that the faculty are using, and you are a retiree with a usc.edu email address that is kept active through the USC Gold Card, you have the ability to have a professional Zoom account, along with Microsoft Office and other software help, along with ITS support via phone and via email, so and online. So this is something that we really haven't broadcasted that much because not too many people know how to use Zoom yet, but this is something that's available to you.
Thank you. I'll try to figure out how to take advantage of that.
How do you connect to that? Is that through the ITS website?
I would suggest that you go directly to the ITS website and then type in Zoom and see if you can upload it there, because what happens is it will automatically give you the red screen where you have to put in your username and password as a USC employee.
Yeah, that's also where you get the Microsoft Office too, which is wonderful.
That's right. That's right. Anyone else? Okay.
I think Dr. Lau wanted to say something, right?
Okay.
Did you want?
Cal? Dr. Lau?
Just call me Cal. I enjoy listening, so I'm sorting through all the information, especially having heard the presidential stuff on coronavirus and all that's going on now, because I'm not whatever it's called. I don't have to stay in the house, and I can still see patients if I needed to for emergencies. But it raises a lot of other questions on how we really control this phenomenon that is totally affecting not only us, but the whole world. So it's looking at the whole perspective of how we can function and still maintain our identity and help society and those we touch in ways that are meaningful for everyone. So we still want to contribute.
Definitely. I was wondering about the folks that are still in the group. There's 21 of us. If you or you know of loved ones that are having issues, this is a time of a lot of actual pain and suffering and feeling isolated. I'd love to hear from you. And in fact, our Vice Provost would love to hear from you as well. So, you know, how are you feeling? What's going on in your families and that kind of thing? I see Ron is unmuted. Ron, are you going to give us a little update?
I've been trying to figure this whole thing out, so I finally, I guess, either I unmuted or somebody unmuted for me. I am emeriti for the last 8 years or so, and I'm living in Colorado now, and I saw the email, and so I thought I'd learn a little bit about Zoom. And I have a camera somewhere, and I've been looking for it here the last 15 minutes, but I haven't found it yet. But maybe on the next section, I'll have it plugged in so that you can see who I am and where I'm at. We're covered with snow right now, so I suppose most of you are still in Southern California, but we got about 6 inches the last 48 hours. But having a great time being retired. I love living here in Colorado and the Four Seasons, etc. Glad to make connections back with some other retired faculty here and staff. Thanks a million.
Thank you. Anyone else would like to comment about the situation? What's going on? Lynn?
I'd like to say something about the coronavirus. My family, we have a lot of educators in my family. So my sister and my daughter both teach at the same school, in elementary school in Atlanta. And what they did before they closed the school, they had the teachers to make copies of a packet to send home with the children for 10 days. They also had class dojo, and they did something with Zoom. So they're supposed to connect with their students daily, and the students really should, they're supposed to take attendance. But what they're finding is that most of the children do not connect. So probably 7 out of about 27 children are communicating with the teachers. So they're having an issue with that, and they're wondering what's going to happen at the end of the 10 days if they don't go back to school. They're really concerned about these children's education if they don't go back to school until the fall, because they will be so far behind, and it'll be hard to teach new material when they haven't even mastered the previous year's material. So that's what they're looking at. Another thing that they're looking at, just being in the house, because they're, my daughter and my sister, they just like to go, go, go. For me, being in the house, I love it. Going to the store, I don't really want to go to the store, but I know if I want to eat, I have to go to the store. But I don't have a problem with being by myself. But for them and for other people who really aren't used to being in the house and don't want to be in the house, what do you have any suggestions for them of things that they can do, especially if they don't like to exercise? The things they like to do, they can't do, like skate. Can't do that because the skating rink is closed. So what do we tell people to calm them down?
Well, I want to ask about, so you're saying that only 7 students have access to a computer to keep in touch with the teacher, 7 out of 27?
Well, probably more have access, but the ones that have access they're not connecting either.
So they're not using what's available.
Right, they're not. And these are elementary students, and it's in a low income area. And so I don't think the parents understand that this is important.
I know that our local television stations, our PBS stations, have been having lessons online because I've watched a few of them. I've learned about Mars and about, what was the other one? Tokyo Rose. So it's kind of interesting when you turn on PBS and there's a little flag underneath that says regular programming will resume when school's in session. And then you realize it's a program for children. And I'm enjoying them. But can they take walks? Are they housebound and they don't let anyone out in Atlanta?
No, they can take walks, but neither of them like to walk.
Well, that's the exercise. I don't know if playgrounds are open. I know in New York, one of the things that Governor Cuomo said was he was opening all the national parks and the big parks to people.
Well, definitely
have the social distance there.
Right. But because of the social distancing, I don't think anything is open. And then they live in a hilly area, so when they walk, it's extra because you have to walk up the hill just to get to the main street. And then walk back down the hill.
Exercise programs on TV that are easy.
So
that you can follow on video. The other thing, I don't know if you all know that it's the most expensive grocery store, Whole Foods, but between 7 a.m. and 8 a.m. in the morning, they're letting people in over the age of 60 to shop. Only people over 60.
Yeah, they're doing it in some of the others as well.
I have a suggestion for that we grandparents can be of help to our grandchildren. And Laura and I are on a daily basis trying to read a story or help a grandchild compose a story as a writing project for that grandchild. So you can explore that with your grandchildren. I would encourage you to see what are their favorite storybooks, and maybe we actually ordered a Harry Potter volume 2 from Amazon so that we could read with our 10-year-old granddaughter, and she's back in the Philadelphia suburbs. So I think, Lynn, it'd be really great if you could help help your grandchildren find interesting things to do for an hour each day without wearing yourself out too much, I hope.
Well, my grandchildren, they both happen to be in high school and they go to a private school. So they have to get up and log in every morning at 8 and they have a full day of work all day. They're just in school. It's just online, just like college.
Wow.
So those two I'm not worried about. They're not on a break right now.
Impressive. Thank you.
Hi, me again. Oh, I was going to show you the that thing I was talking about. Children's stories is called storylineonline.net. It's one long word, Storyline Online, and you click on the book, and you'll have one of the famous actors reading the stories to your kids.
Oh, that's great.
Storyline Online, one long word, .net.
Okay, great.
It's got like 15 or 20 different stories, probably more. I don't know if you can see that. I don't guess you can't. Well, you can kind of see it.
No, Jeanette, if we could implement this storylineonline.net some kind of way to reach out to LAUSD students, that would be great.
There's quite a few other resources that now this one is free, so we're looking to connect together and start to put together resources, and so is the Dean of the School of the Libraries, Catherine Quinlan. I believe she's going to be at least putting some of that together so that they would have a resource page. The pie in the sky idea would be for the Emeriti Center to provide a website that has all of these resources on it, or at least recommendations. And I see that Pat's on the line. She sent me John Malkovich does 'Twas the Night Before Christmas and 8 other celebrity book readings. So this was on fatherly.com, which is interesting. So I'm sure many of you have these great, resources, people that all that kind of thing. And we would welcome that. I am seriously considering, since we don't get enough done, we're doing these Zoom sessions once a week at 2 p.m. on Friday. But I'm thinking that I will send out an email. I'm willing to do Zoom sessions with groups of people that are interested in certain developing certain things. Like if you're interested in this LAUSD collecting resources, that would be one group. We would have another group where we wanted to have intergenerational discussions. That would be another group. Because there's a lot of interest. There are people that would like to do a book club. There are people that probably would like to join in Jerry's Zoom session to hear his speaker for the RFA. We could have a series of folks that are doing great things on campus right now that would be willing to meet with us for half an hour and just have a Zoom chat. There's so many ways that we can stay connected, and there's a lot of working groups that we could create since we're stuck at home, many of us. So any ideas that you have for ways that we can do this, please send me an email. I will do the best I can to get connected. I see that I've got one person on the line here who needs help with something, and I'm happy to help out later on this evening. Let's see, we've heard from, okay, I see, it looks like Sergio Gascon. We haven't heard from you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Great. Well, I was actually on the call on Wednesday, and I have to say that I joined because I wanted to learn how to use Zoom, in a much better way. But the session today really is very intriguing to hear about some of the ideas that we've been talking about. And in terms of doing, trying to do outreach to the community, and I know that trying to reach underage, there's, it can be problematic. There's going to be some things that we need to do first before we can, interact with a young person. I don't know if it's a solution necessarily or just another idea, but if we as a group make ourselves available to the community through you, Janet, that you could set something up so that they could contact us. And maybe it's the parent and the child. Then that perhaps I think could be a way to maybe as a workaround.
Mhm.
But if the parent is busy with whatever it is that they're busy with, you know, probably just trying to work from home, that then nonetheless we could have that interaction with the young person. And just throw a couple of additional ideas is, like, for example, I teach leadership currently to education centers, and I was doing that in person. And as a result of the coronavirus, they were canceled. So then I switched to online. And that's the reason I want to learn Zoom better, is so that I can, you know, do a more professional presentation. You know, teaching or talking to, and it doesn't have to be youth only. It could also be, you know, the college students and adults that we, I would love to be able to talk to them about leadership, you know, and how to handle, you know, how to behave in a crisis, and, you know, things of that sort. Those are just some ideas that I have, you know, for the team.
That's great. And I think what we can also do too is just provide good, solid resources that parents can use, and that are vetted, so we know that they're okay for students. And so that we could just have a resource page too. So that's good. And it's already 3:02, and there was a very, Carolina had a very good link, which we're going to start. That's going to be our #1 link we're going to put on our first resource page. So thank you, Carolina. And then we would like to hear from the students. How are you doing? Before you sign off, I know you're going to have to sign off, but we want to know what you're experiencing right now. And this was Lynn mentioned that, and I agree with her wholeheartedly. So if all of you could unmute at the same time, all of our students, and just have a conversation quickly about how are you doing and how are you handling this? And Monday is your first day of class.
I don't know about you guys. I think I'm doing okay. I feel like it did help to have us go on Zoom before we left for spring break, because as things escalated over this past week, we've already had that experience of like what it would be like, and we have our expectations for what the Zoom lectures would be like. And so I think I'm doing fine. It's more of like just being, my main concern is mainly about like the hoarding that's going on, and like how crazy it is to be at the store, because I am the person who goes to do groceries for my family. And so every time I go, I'm just like, I go with a game plan. I'm like ready to stay away from people. It's just like a whole mental ordeal. So that's what I mainly focus on. And every time I hear, oh, we're low on this, I'm like, okay, I have to find it at the store when next time I go. But overall, it's been pretty, I feel like it helps to really stick to a routine. I don't know about you guys, but it's really helps to have things to do, because even though this whole thing is still happening, a lot of my thoughts are like, oh, I have things I still have to do for class. Even though it's virtual, I still got to submit stuff. Like, I still have things I need to do. So I feel like that's what I've been thinking about, and just making sure while we're being clean and being safe, also like remembering my other responsibilities. That's helped me, but I'm not sure about you guys.
Yeah, I agree with Nikki completely, especially on the part where like when we went on Zoom last week at school, it was really helpful, and like it allowed us to know what to expect. But I've just been feeling like really tired these days, because I'm always like sitting down, or I'm always in my bed. And like I tried to exercise through like videos on YouTube, so that really helped me become a little bit more active in my own household. But yeah, like I live with my parents, and I have like a sister who's like 7 right now, and she's also like at home like doing nothing. So like it's really important for us to find a routine because everything's kind of changing. Yeah.
Sophia?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I thought it would feel like an urge to go outside, but actually I feel fine staying inside for a whole week. And I've like gone out and played badminton with my sister. So if you need something to do, maybe try that. Also, did you guys hear about the petition for making all classes pass no pass?
Yeah, I heard about that.
I really hope they do it.
I signed it, but I don't
Me
feel
too.
super strongly. I mean, at the same time, I understand. So just in case everyone else doesn't know, there's a petition going around within the student body to make our classes this semester pass no pass, primarily because of like the just the effect of, oh, we're dealing with a global pandemic, but also a lot of people have gone home and it's a disadvantage for people who aren't in the Pacific time zone to tune into class and to do work and things like that, because everyone has to deal with the different time zones. So people are really advocating towards switching our grades to pass no pass. I don't know what you guys think about that, but
Leanne, I saw you smile.
I mean, there's a couple of petitions going on as well, like in addition to the pass no pass. I think a few other colleges have implemented pass no pass, so that's why the students are more adamant about trying to get the petition ongoing. I think it should be an option for students if they do want to do pass no pass, but I also think that if students don't want to do pass no pass, that also should be an option. It shouldn't be mandatory that everyone should do pass no pass, because yeah, that's just my opinion on it. Like, it should be an option. If you want to take it, then go ahead and do a pass no pass. But I think what my friend said, who does pass no pass, is she says that it actually is after your grades come out and then they do pass no pass. I think that's what they're doing. So it's going to be on your transcript, I think, but then they change it afterwards. So I'm not sure how that works, but yeah, I think this whole situation it's not that motivating, because for spring break, it's like you have a week at home, but here it's like, oh, I want to be home indefinitely for a while. So yeah.
if anything, I would much rather not have to pay tuition for the rest of the semester. But obviously, I understand that we still gotta pay because to keep the university running and stuff and paying for all this. But it's just like so, I guess, disheartening to work so hard and pay so much, and then to have it just end up being like all my experiences are over Zoom. So it's just like, but it is what it is, and I get it.
Can I make a suggestion? Because I did 2 degrees online at USC. My master's and my doctorate degree were all totally online. And what we did, me and some of my classmates, we had our own little sessions. We did study groups online. You know, we studied for exams online. We looked over our papers online. We did everything that we could online. And so that's something that you can do while you're here, while you're at home. You can just connect with some of your friends at school or some of your classmates during your assignments online. Like what we would do, we would get an assignment, and before we started it, we would talk and say, what do you think this is saying we need to do? And then once we talk about it, then we would all start our individual assignments. And it worked really great. And I made more friends in an online program than I did in my bachelor's degree where I was on campus.
Good idea.
I think it's just a bit different because this was so abrupt. No one had planned for this. So it's just, yeah, if we had more time to maybe plan, like when I remember when I left for spring break, it was just saying bye. It was a bit weird. It felt different than saying bye during the summer because there is a certain level of uncertainty involved. So I think as time passes and everyone gets more used to it, I think that we would definitely do more online connecting, and I think it'll all work out in the end.
Well, thank you, everyone. We've gone over our time. I would highly, I've got the chats here from some of you, and I will put them in a source page, and we can maybe start sharing them, maybe using Google Docs so that everybody could see them that's interested. I would highly recommend that, encourage you to send me a personal email if you'd like to stay connected on this particular project for creating resources for our community and also for our retirees. I mean, they've got children who have parents or grandchildren or whatever. A lot of these resources can be made available not just for those under 18, you know, for parents of those children who are under 18, but for somebody like Karen and myself who are interested in some of these resources and exploring. And I meant to actually share the screen and show you some of the resources that we've already found online, but I didn't have a chance to get to them today. So I definitely will be going over some of that when we meet again on Friday. But for any of you that would like to do some of these individual groups, please send me a specific jcbrown@usc.edu, and we can connect offline. We can do a Zoom session together, but I'd like to start putting together a brain trust of folks that are willing to come together and help us do some of these things. So again, thank you everyone for joining us. Please follow up afterwards with an email if you'd like. And if the students are still available to stay on the line for just a couple minutes, please do so. Okay.
Thank you, Jeanette.
Thank you,
Thank you everyone for coming.